I lost half of my dahlia tubers to the freezing temperatures. And yes, I am devastated, but I am going to be done being sad and do something about it. Let me show you. This is all I have left of my beautiful, beautiful collection of dahlia tubers that I tried saving over the winter. I mean, we're still going through the winter, but I did check on them last month at the beginning of December, and they were still doing good. Half of them were outside in my detached garage, and they were insulated in a box, and they were doing okay. They were actually doing really, really well. And the other half were inside, and that room doesn't freeze, but it does stay a little bit on the warmer side. And those, the ones that you're looking at, are doing amazing. And when I placed those half of my tubers outside in my garage, I knew that I was having a huge risk of losing them to the freezing temperatures. Like I said, up until the beginning of December, they were doing great. However, the last couple of weeks here in central Indiana, we have gone through some really, really low temperatures. In the upper 30s, lower 20s at the lows. And I left them outside for a couple of nights. And then the third night, I just brought them inside. And the moment that I reached on that box, the moment that I tried to grab the tubers, they were just really bad. They were just really, really bad. They were gone. There was actually just one tuber out of all of those that I had in the box. One tuber, and I'm not even sure that it's alive, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. So this is all I have left of my tubers that I tried to save from last year. And while I'm really, really sad about it, I am also glad that it happened, because now I know that I cannot save my dahlia tubers in my garage. At least for now, the room that is not finished yet, the one that we don't have heat towards it, it's a great place to save them. I don't know what's going to happen when we finish that room, because then I won't have any place in the house to save them, but this is not bad. Now, the great thing about it is that I didn't lose any really good varieties that I had. When I was dividing those two boxes, the ones that I was going to keep outside and inside, I tried to make sure that I had the same varieties inside as the varieties outside. Remember the Cornell Bronze? I had 3 huge bunches like this. Well, I lost 2 of them because I had them outside, but that's okay. This Cornell Bronze, if I can still keep it alive until it's needed, it's going to give me some amazing results. But I do have others that I really wanted to save a lot of those tubers, and I don't have enough. So what's going to happen is that today I am going to start the process for taking cuttings. And I feel like a lot of people are really, really scared to take cuttings of their dahlia tubers. And I get it. These guys are not cheap. And that's why I'm going to try to multiply, to propagate the tubers that I already have indoors. But if you have experience propagating any of your houseplants, or even plants that are growing outside like coleus or geraniums, then you can already do this. This is really nothing different. It's really not complicated. I feel like with some basic knowledge, you can really multiply the tubers that you already have to get more free plants. And I was debating on whether to show you the beginning of this part. What I was going to do is that I was going to start my setup, and here in a month, when these guys hopefully are sprouting, I was going to show you how to take those cuttings. But some of you might already be in that position, like myself today, that you found your tubers and you lost so many because of the temperatures that we have been getting. So if that is the case, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry for you. But hopefully you can maybe get some inspiration from today's video and start your own multiplying of dahlia tubers. If you're wondering about the timing of when to start the dahlia cuttings versus when to wake up your tubers, I am going to try to give you a visual idea of when you should be taking these times in consideration. Now, this guide is just something that it works for me, and it works for other people as well. But you gotta take these dates and time measurements as a guidance. There are a lot of factors that are going to contribute to that time to be different for you, because you might have different conditions. You may be growing in a cooler, darker room. You may not have access to a heat mat, but even if our conditions were the same, even if we had the same lights, the same room, the same potting soil, even if your conditions and mine were the same, we're probably not gonna have the same tubers, and every tuber responds differently to being waking up. Some tubers you may see sprouts appearing 2 weeks after you put them in soil. Others might take up to a month to show that they're actually alive. So there's a lot of things to take in consideration. I am definitely pushing the mark on when to start cuttings for mine, and pushing it meaning that I'm way too early, but I'm doing it for another reason. I have a couple of tubers that I'm not really sure if they are alive. And if that is the case, if I see no signs of life here in like 4 or 6 weeks, then I'm going to order tubers for those varieties, because I do want to make sure that I grow those varieties this year. But if I had plenty of tubers and if I just wanted to take some extra cuttings, I probably wouldn't be doing this until a month from now, until the beginning of February, really. But let's see how we do this year. I have nothing to lose. I have everything that I need here already set up. I have my lights, I have my heat mat, I have plenty of potting mix because I did an experiment a couple of weeks ago, so I have plenty of things to use. So I am going to use what I have. I'm going to divide these tubers first. And if you have never divided a clump of tubers, today is your lucky day. But if you already feel like that's something that you don't really care, just skip to this number here and you can just see how I set up my propagation. This guy right here is Labyrinth. I am using 2 very sharp and pointy pruners here. Some people just use a knife. That just kind of depends how thick the tubers are. I'm looking already. I don't know how close I can get. This right here. I think I can get really close. This right here, that right there, that's an eye. The whole idea of breaking these tubers is that we don't really want to plant a clump of these, because each of these tuber, if we happen to have a good eye, a good body, a good neck, and a good eye attached to the crown, then this can be its own plant. So this one and this one and this one and this one. You get the idea. So we'll just try to make it easier for ourselves. And the first one that I'm going to get is this guy, because I know that this is like a really, really good one. Now the one right underneath it has a bunch of eyes right here. So I'm going to separate that one as well. Hopefully you can see I have like 2 or 3 eyes over here. It's a really good eye, and it's attached, it's right in the middle. Sometimes you have places where you have an eye right there, but it's in the middle of 2 tubers. So what I am going to try to do, they're both nice and solid. If one of them was weak, I will just cut off the weak one and leave the other one with the eye. But in this case, they're both nice and healthy feeling. There we go. There is an eye right in the middle of these 2 tubers. And even though these 2 tubers don't feel like, this one is kind of wrinkly, I don't know, I'm going to leave this like this. Going to cut off this one. This one just feels like the neck just feels kind of wobbly. This one has, this guy right here has some good eyes right in the middle. So for this guy, I'm going to try to cut from the back. For these kind of things, cutting chunks from the big thick tuber It's always good to have this like heavy duty pruners, because this guy, while it's a great piece, it may not be as strong to try to get big cuts. There we go. So I do have a couple of eyes right here at the end. This is a perfect tuber. This right here, you can tell this guy is darker. This was my original tuber that I planted at the beginning of the season. This guy is just gonna go. Sometimes you just have to turn this underneath to see the eyes. There is one right there. That's this guy. Perfect. I have an eye right there. Right there. Now this guy, I don't see an eye, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't have one. Sometimes I just like to try these guys. Many times I have been in a position where I don't know if a tuber will be viable because I don't see any eyes, and I have planted that tuber and it has turned into a beautiful plant. Okay, and I'm going to do the same for these guys. So these are all of the cuttings, or these are all of the tubers that I took from Labyrinth. If I was to plant all of these, obviously I will get many great results, but I am really unsure about half of them. I am going to save a couple of tubers just so that I know that I will have those tubers good to go. And here at the beginning of March or so, I will take those tubers and I will try to wake them up to get them going. Right now, I am going to use the rest of these tubers, the ones that I know have a couple of eyes, and the ones that I'm really unsure about, and I am going to try to take cuttings from them because I really do want a bunch of this Labyrinth variety. I am going to do one more, and this is Cornell Bronze. And normally, I guess I didn't do it for this one, I will just come here and clean the roots. Look at all those beautiful eyes at the main part. Some tubers are really good at showing the eyes. Just beautiful. I know that I'll have plenty of these guys. This right here, it's a bunch of eyes. So that guy, just beautiful. I'm in that spot again where I actually have a couple of eyes there, but they're right in between two. What to do? Well, in this case, because the eyes are really part of this side, I'm just going to get rid of these. That way, just for space, this guy is just going to have a bunch of eyes there. This guy right here, I am following this one. It kind of comes behind two. It has a bunch of eyes right there. So I'm going to try to let it loose and then just very careful remove it. Then it's perfect. Oh, this guy, if you find tubers that are just very loose, they are not going to be good for you. So just get rid of them. Oh, this guy is perfect. I love it when they're like this. I have two tubers here, and I have eyes on each side of them. That's one. That's two. This guy has no eyes, but this guy underneath does. This guy. So I have an eye here, which belongs to this guy, and I have an eye here. So I'm going to just get these two. So again, for Cornell bronze, I have plenty of tubers here. And for these guys, I can see eyes on every single one of them. So what I'm going to do is that I'll probably just keep these four for taking cuttings, and then I'm going to save these guys, because if for some reason something happens to these guys while in propagation, I know that I have plenty of Cornell for my year. The medium that I'm going to be using for trying to wake up the tubers is just regular seed starting mix that I already had in him from an experiment that I did, where I tested 4 different types of mixes for starting my seeds. So I already had that left, and I added a little bit of vermiculite because I wanted to give it that extra boost for keeping moist. And every time I start seeds or wake up tubers or wake up corms, I like to use semi-wet medium. It doesn't matter what potting mix I'm using. I like to add water to the medium so that it's just not super dry to use around. This is just a personal preference, but especially for waking up these tubers, I am not going to be watering them in. So I am just going to leave the moisture is already in the medium to wake them up. And I am going to use a couple of these plastic containers, nothing special. I did make sure to use, to make my own drainage holes. And if you're wondering why I'm not using regular 10 by 20 trays, is because I do want to make sure that my tubers are standing up. And if I have a really, really big tuber, if I put them inside a 10 by 20 tray, it wouldn't be covered as much as I want it to be covered standing up. So that's really the only reason. You can use any container you have on hand. You don't have to buy anything for this. Any container where you get fruit at the store will work. Anything that you use for your cooking inside. As long as it has drainage holes, that's really all you should be worried about. There are a lot of ways that people wake up their tubers for propagating. Some people just lay the tubers down on top of potting mix. Some other people cover almost the entire thing with potting mix, just leaving the head up. I am going to do it this way because a couple of years ago when I tried to do them this way, I really had great results. And I didn't do that many, but I had great results. So fingers crossed that I can get a few plants, a few free plants. So this is how much I am using here. So I am going to try not to mix my varieties. This right here is labyrinth. So I want to make sure that for taking cuttings that I leave part of the neck exposed, because if I have sprouts coming through, then it's definitely easier to do them this way. And I might actually just do a whole tray just for these guys. And that's that. Hopefully here in a month, you will see some sprouts. Let's do the second one. So what happens now with these containers? Do they go out of the light, into the lights? Do they need heat? What's next? Pretty much these guys are going to go straight under LED lights. They're going to be there for the next few weeks until I see some sprouts coming through. They may take 2 weeks to show signs of life. They may take a whole month. Some tubers I heard they take up to 6 weeks, which is super long to be waiting for something to show signs of life. But this is pretty much what they look like here. Again, I'm just trying to get sprouts from these guys. I am not going to be transplanting them from here into the outside. This is just to get greens so that I can pot them up on their own and make new plants. I am going to have my LED lights for about 12 hours on, and I am going to place these two under a heat mat. Not under, over a heat mat. Just so that they have the extra heat. This room where I am keeping them is really nice and warm, but I do want to push these guys and see if they're alive at all. I have 2 tubers for Linda's baby, and those are the only tubers that I have, and I am not even sure if they're alive. So I'm going to give them a chance, and I am probably going to try to get 3-5 cuts from each tuber. We'll see. I do have other for Linda's baby. I do have extra tubers already. They're going to go back into my cool room indoors, and that's pretty much how this process starts. Hopefully I can give you an update here in about a month. Here in the beginning of February, I should see some sign of life, hopefully. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you in the next time. I lost half of my, oh, this thing's not gonna work.